Hey YouTube, today I'm going to review my Benchmade Balisong butterfly knives, starting with the 44, model 44, the model 47, model 43, model 42A, the Spyderco Spyderfly, and from Knifemart, the Roton butterfly knife. So the first one up is my Benchmade 44. This one came with a webbing case. This was a square one. As you can see, it's got many years of use. I actually carried this for about 4 to 5 years, horizontal carry only, and it's got the elastic waistband. It came with that case, and I special ordered this. I called Les the Assist back in 1991. I got this in 1990, and it's got the Kydex sheath, and you can wear this on the front of your belt or on the back. I carried this on the back, the small of my back, horizontal carry. Friction kept it in place. As you can see, it's molded to the handles. First thing you'll notice about this knife, this is my favorite, and I call it the holy grail of all the butterfly knives I own. Concealed pivots. You cannot see them. They did a hell of a job, even with the latch. This is the old style latch. The handle is, I believe, steel. It's heavy. I don't think this is titanium. Negative side on this knife from everyday carrying that I can tell you about is it doesn't have a lockout gate for the latch. So if you're not careful, when this would close, you'd nick the blade. Or if it closed and you swung it, this would come around and hit the tip of the blade and make it dull. The cool thing about this knife back in the day is they actually stamped the logo into the blade, and they stamped the name Benchmade, and it says here USA on the back. This is the original edge. Whenever I use this knife, I strop it. When I'm done, I run it through a leather strop. Very heavy knife. It's about 10, right at actually maybe 9.5, 10 inches. Very big knife. They had the smaller version of this too. And again, this is the Model 44S. I don't recommend keeping this in the closed position. I don't put the latch up just so it doesn't constantly pinch the metal, even though it is supposedly, it could be titanium. But the lockup is solid. I really have to squeeze the handles to get this to lock. As you can see, the locking pivot bolt, it used to be round, but it's now turning oblong because of the way the handles pinch against that pivot bolt. So I don't recommend you locking it, because as that bolt gets flatter, handles come closer together. This latch will not lock. It'll eventually fall out. Again, this is the old style latch, and this is the 44. This is my favorite. The next one up is pretty much the same looking, same style, except this one has titanium handles, and the big difference is the pivot bolts. They are exposed, and it's Torx head, and the Balisong is now laser etched. This is the Model 47. It's got the modified tanto point. As you can see, it's got the sharp tanto edge on it, compared to the Model 44, which has got the rounded tanto edge. Now, they made some modifications on this knife. You can see the latch has lockouts so that your blade doesn't hit it, which was a great addition. As far as the feel, it's a lot lighter. It's half the weight of the 44. The pivot lock pins are thicker. The lock pins are actually round on this one, and the handle's titanium, and the blade is 440C. This is a great knife. I carried this one for probably about a year, and eventually put it up after, because I saw how rare they were. The next one is the Benchmade This is a 43. The main difference here is it's got the spring-loaded latch now. As you can see, they changed the style. It's spring-loaded, so it's not in your way. They still kept the lockout so that this would not hit the blade. Construction materials, the handles are still titanium. The blade is now a 154 cm. Everything's laser etched. This is the Bowie blade. This is the model 43. They're all the same length, good looking knife, but it's significantly lighter. The pivot locking pin, the locking pin here that gets pinched by the handles, it's significantly smaller. So I don't know how that worked out. Whereas the 47, you can see the 47 is significantly thicker. Don't know why that is. But anyway, it's a good looking knife. I also found out, I carried this for about 6 months and realized in 6 months carrying that, hey, these are hard to come by. I better cut it out before something happens to it or I lose it. Whereas the 44, which is the most sought after of all these Balisongs, back in the early 90s, I never thought about it. I never cared much for the collectivity of the knife. I just knew that it's a hard edged knife, or it's a hard used knife. Hell, I'll use it. So anyway, this is the model 43, the Bowie handle. The next one is more collectible. I never really carried this one. I carried it maybe for a month. This is the 42A. It's anodized, and believe it or not, it changes color. The anodization is pretty cool. It goes from blue to purple. The difference with this is the Weehawk with the false wedge. It's not sharpened. Laser etched. Blade steel on this one, I'm going to say, is the 154 cm. The collectivity of this knife is this. It says first production, number 169 of 500. So there's 500 of these guys that were made with the anodized handle. They're rare. The other thing I want to point out is these are Allen bolts, not Torx, and they are significantly bigger in size. Well, actually, they look kind of the same, but here without the camera it looks bigger. The other thing is it's got the older latch, and I think that's the I guess to me that's the collectability of it. Everyone that's buying these now have the spring-loaded. These are the older models, so I believe they're more sought after. Great knife, just like the rest, just a different blade handle. Material, I actually know it's the same, but it's anodized. Feels great in your hand. Forward grip and reverse grip. The locking mechanism on these are just unbelievably solid. They may have lateral movement on all of them. You can remove the play, but then you want it free to spin around. But the second you put the handles together and pinch it, it's a sturdy lock. As you can see, this one rarely got locked. I really have to squeeze the handles to get this to lock. So that should give you an idea. It's a very, very, very cool knife. The next one here is the Spyderco Spyderfly. Got a lot of negative things to say about this knife. It's definitely not an everyday carry. It only locks one way in the handle's closed position. It's spring-loaded. Squeeze that, they open, and you can't lock it. If you do use this to cut things with, it feels spongy. As you squeeze the knife to put pressure to cut, it just keeps squeezing the pivot pins. The plus side is the actual locking pivot pins here, or whatever you call these. I call them the locking pin. It gets trapped between the handles, and they're huge. I mean, look how thick they are in reference to the Benchmade. I mean, these suckers are huge in comparison. Too bad they don't lock. It's cumbersome in your hand when you're cutting things, because as you cut and you put pressure on it, you're squeezing the handles, whether you're conscientious of it or not, and it just gives you that weird spongy feeling. You can swap the external clip on either handle and reverse it. These holes are meant to just spin them with, nothing more, and they make a cool sound if you do it fast. It kind of sings. But I wouldn't recommend this as an everyday carry. This is just strictly a twirling knife. Not too much I can say about it, other than the fact that, you know, it's anodized handle, anodized blade. It's a 440C. So again, I wouldn't recommend this as an everyday carry just because it's not practical when you start cutting and the feel of it. And carrying this in your pocket, it's huge up here. It pinches your thigh and in your pants when you kneel down to pick things up, tie your shoes or whatever. The last one is the coolest one, I think, the toughest one. It's the one made by Roton. Knifemart sells these. I've carried this for 4 years, and as you can see, the blade is almost gone. I've sent it in several times to get service, and they resharpen it, take the blade edge down. It's got thick locking pins, unbelievable. Pivot pins, they're pressed in, and they look like ball bearings. I was worried that the handle is, I believe, steel. The blade is 440. It's really hard to sharpen, so I let them do it. And lo and behold, they take out a lot of material to sharpen this bad boy. But it stays sharp for a while. It's heavy and definitely can take a beating. I recommend it. It's got the latch. It's got the American, I guess the American style carry. The Filipino carry puts it on the non-sharpened side. That's just the way they do it there. The locking on this, I called a guy named Paul over at Knifemart, and he said if they ever get loose, send them in, and they'll fix it. And as you can see, it doesn't take a whole lot to lock it in, but when it's locked, I mean, it's locked. And even in the open position, I mean, you really have a solid, sturdy lock. Feels great in the hand, forward and reverse grip. So anyway, this is definitely my pick as far as everyday carry. Very practical, and it'll take a beating, and it's heavy. So that's it for now. Until next time, y'all be safe.